Thank you so much, sir. That was one of the most amazing presentations I've ever, however, equally confusing as well, because now you never know how to, identify what your customer really wants and what he or she is focusing on with that kind of information pouring in from every side. Because really the phenomena from going from brick to click and click to brick and then click through brick, that's the most confusing thing that's happening these days. But anyhow, uh, big companies like these are still observing and reshaping the strategies to get to their consumers. Well, over here, we would like to thank Go Lutlo and UnionPay, Gaia, for sponsoring the event. Thank you very much. And the agenda for the second half will be soon shared with you, inshallah. Now, to move forward, since you know that there's an influx of shopping malls and the retail business is going on a different level altogether in Pakistan as well. So, to talk on shaping the future of shopping malls, I would like to call on stage now Mr. Hussam Rouf, MD Mont, UAE, and Faisal Nadeem, who's the director, Dolmer Group, will be the will be the curator of question and answer sessions, which will be held afterwards. So let's welcome Mr. Hussam Rouf.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for having me today. This is my first time in Pakistan, and as I do, I came a few days in advance. I went and I visited some of the retail and the real estate project. And I should say I was truly impressed with the quality and the understanding of the real estate and the retail in the area. Definitely wasn't really my expectation. Definitely after watching the news on all the TV channel. I think Pakistan has all the required qualities to drive a very successful retail and real estate industry. And today I will take you through the real estate and the retail from a developer perspective, maybe a little bit far from a consumer perspective. And we'll talk about the latest trends when it comes to shopping mall development. Whenever the presentation ready. So as I said in today's presentation, we'll talk about the mixed-use real estate development, and then we'll dive into the retail real estate from a developer perspective, and we'll see the latest trends in this industry. Definitely the retail real estate forms the most of the memorable areas and the places we visited, or it does exist in our community. And successful mixed-use real estate development contains all the factors which really embrace successful retail plays. We'll skip the introduction and we'll go directly to the main factors we practiced along the year in order to create a successful mixed-use development. And we listed most of these items, starting with the placemaking, going to design and the customer service-oriented mixed-use or real estate development. Definitely the focus on main three areas, which is starting with the design, followed by the experience which we are delivering within the mixed-use development and the ideas around it. If we can really collect all the three corners, a life will really start in the center of the real estate, and we'll create the placemaking, which will differentiate any place from the other. Across the mixed-use development, businesses through residential, offices, retail, and malls, the most integrated and connected spaces, the more successful. One of the examples of these places which I was fortunate to work on for the last 10 years is the downtown Dubai. And we'll extract some of the factors made this place, especially this place specifically, successful when it comes to the retail and the real estate. Within the downtown Dubai, we have around 90,000 as population. We'll have 4,000 hotel room. We'll have 35,000 homes as residential homes. And we'll have around 1,800 retail shops, 1,200 stores within Dubai Mall, and the 600 around the downtown and around the boulevard. Between 2004 and 2014, we delivered around 75% of the mixed-use development. Still the 25 responding to the changes in the mixed-use development. Of course, responding also to the changes when it comes to the consumer behavior and the economical view around the world. And in order to create this mixed-use development and successful retail real estate as a building, we use around 6 main items. The first one is we use the architecture in order to create a real estate value. Most of the places or the cities around the world, they use architecture to create a viewing corridor to really escalate the premium of the value when it comes to selling the residential or renting the retail spaces. Also, the creation of the vibrant mixed-use development community. The mixed-use development itself is very successful development because you bring the people who are working, who are living, and who are playing and shopping to the same place. Means you are catering to different agendas at different time frame within the same areas. Again, the placemaking, how you really look at the details of your buildings, of your shopping malls, the integration of the public realm, which is the next point, and the quality of this public realm. Anywhere in the world, when you go to the downtown Dubai or some of the places in Europe, the minute you step on the boulevard, on the marble finishes of the boulevard, you would expect higher finishes associated with higher life quality, higher spending forces, and higher prices. So the public realm really create your first interacting point with the buildings. And of course, the cultural placemaking. Again, the most richest places around the world and the expensive places around the world are these places who are associated with the culture. Art and culture start becoming really the driving forces behind added value within the real estate and the retail. And the new area, which is now forming big part of the retail mixed-use development, is the digital and the data analytics. At least 40%, as been stated by the chairman of the Cisco, of the businesses will not, they have to integrate a digital and technology platform within their businesses or will disappear. At the same time, the most biggest 10 companies by 2030, they don't really exist today, which means the digital start transforming our life, our businesses, when it comes to retail real estate, also in a big form. We look at the main drivers behind the successful retail and real estate planning. The first thing is the city level planning. Because in the emerging market, when the developers start developing a shopping malls, they work in a solo. So every developer, they create a type of shopping malls. They start working also in different areas. However, you need a city level planning, someone on a higher authority where they sit, they look at the entire city and they will tell you what's missing, what's in the pipeline, what to avoid, and what to work more on. So the retail master planning should be really worked on in a higher authority, either with the private sector or by the city planning council, in order to make sure the cohesive approach to a city when it comes to the retail component. Why? Because the retail, we have different types of retail, and it's not only the mega mall or the community mall today we have. There are around 9 or 10 items of the retail real estate. One of it is the neighborhood center. You go to the community center usually within the residential area or the heavily resident area, where it caters to the daily needs from a grocery to the services and the hypermarket. When you move to the regional mall, you have more in-depth merchandising. So you have, again, variation when it comes to fashion. Definitely the trade area of a regional center goes from 5 to 8 miles. So it caters to bigger radius of consumer. Super regional mall is also bigger, 8 to 12 miles trade area. Again, the component of the super regional mall followed by the other big area, which is the mega malls. Mega malls has different characteristics depending on the tourism, depending on the city airports, depending on the flow and the consumer circulation within the center. And we have around 10 items, as we mentioned earlier. The idea is to refer to a very important point. Before we build any shopping mall, we need to understand what are the demographic and the psychographic shaping that area, and what is the really suitable type of retail. So it's not only one type of retail, we have 10 to 12 types of retail today, if we really talk about the online retailing. And all of these are viable, however, they are contingent upon the type of the demographic, the spending forces, the consumer profiling, and the economic of the city. And the other thing which we need to pay attention to is the entire retail industry is one ecosystem. So it's not really about building a mall, or it's not really about bringing retailers. It's all of these items combined with the supply chain. We need to look at the retail real estate from one ecosystem connected. So it's a really closed loop. When you talk about the marketing dynamic, you talk about the real estate scene and the buildability of this building, talk about the brands, brand penetration, brands, local brands association with the international level, supply chain, as we mentioned, governing system, and the local authority and the permitting process. You need to cater for the entire loop in order to create a successful retail real estate industry, and much more. Because when you go to the advanced regulatory framework, these are the framework which will enable the developer, the real estate investor, and the foreign funds in order to act, from planning to design to the development, all the way to the organization and the policy making. And the policy making today with the city authorities, some of the advanced city in real estate, they are reshaping their policy to cater for not only the physical retail real estate, but also to the online retailing. And then you need to be a delivery driven. In order for a shopping mall developer and real estate developer to build a successful malls, they need to cater for the delivery and the vision at the end of this delivery. From a time perspective, resources, you need, of course, the accelerator or the refinement of your product. And we always remember, whenever we finish a building of a mall, we say, we finished, we start. Because a shopping mall, what makes it really unique as a retail real estate is very dynamic and it's very organic. Means when you open a shopping mall, that's where you start working on the operation. That's where you start repositioning the shopping mall. That's where you start learning by the data analytics how the shopping mall really is performing. There's always a solution. We did for Dira City Center, for example, in Dubai, around 15 renovations. Dubai Mall also didn't really open long time ago. We have done so far around 8 renovations. We have 4 expansions now going through. So it's really dynamic and it's really connected with the consumer behavior. The good news that now with the data analytics, you can really watch the behaviors of the consumer and the shopping malls. We'll talk about it in a second. And then you really create hypotheses in order to address all these changes. And then you can do the changes required in order to keep your shopping mall alive. We'll talk about the consumer and the global trends, and my colleagues touch base on many of these. But from physicality, now the shopping centers are becoming more towards lifestyle. So they are not really responding only to the needs of this consumer, but they start having a fusion of experiences. So earlier, for example, before the 2007 recession, the retail and entertainment contributed to 7% of the total gross leasable area. After 2010, the retail and the entertainment sector started contributing to 12 to 15% of the global real estate area. Now today, from any shopping mall, it's around 25% of the GLA, leasable area, is catered for the entertainment and the food. And not any type of food. There are now multi-tiers food and different categories of entertainment, which we'll cover. Now the consumer also, they love the high-tech, and they are asking for a more interaction with the high-tech sector. From a shopping mall developer perspective, creating the flexibility, the provision, the ability to introduce all of these forms is very important, because when you build the shopping mall, you're stuck with the physical place for at least 35 to 50 years. That's the life cycle of a physical building. So how you really create flexibility within this framework or within this built environment in order to adapt to a very fast and quick changes when it comes to technology, from sensors all the way to the Wi-Fi or the connection to the ultimate cognitive business models, which we'll cover soon. Again, shift in the retail format. Now all the shopping mall developer and the retailer, they are going smaller. In the old days in 1980s, 1985, people, they're asking for bigger stores because the retail was really accelerating. Today, people, they're asking for smaller stores, bigger maybe stock rooms and warehouses, because the supply chain start becoming more active when it comes to delivery, online delivery or offline. Also more attraction and the services oriented. While the early days, there was only a transactional based, today is more experiential based. And that's, again, because the shift on the consumer behavior, global but local. I was talking with one of the participants here. In very advanced areas like Dubai or other places, you have a lot of international brands, almost all the international brands, but you lack the local brands. I was very impressed yesterday when I went to some of the shopping malls here that you have a very good local brands. Some of them are competing even in the global level, which is really great to have. So now people, they're trying to associate more with the local brands, because that will give you a very great feeling, either for the people who live in the city or the people who are traveling. Again, now the new behavior of the consumers, they are looking for a more of loyalty program, but not oriented towards a point or discount. However, they like to be associated with the higher value. So the Nike and the Adidas latest campaigns talking about a more of a healthy lifestyle, talking about heroes when it comes to kilometer of running in the jogging in the morning. So they are associated their life with a higher aspiration, which they wanted to be adhered to. Again, today the data analytics changed the face of the interaction between the final consumers and the shopping mall developer in many ways. When it comes to the physicality, again, 80% of the consumer, they shop with other person. Means you really, when you go to your shopping experience, there's someone next to you. And 42% of the consumer who shopped in the shopping malls, they ate at the restaurants. And that will highlight the value of the food and beverage within the shopping malls. As we said, we need to be mindful because the food and beverage itself as industry and within the shopping malls now start having lots of layers. So not only the food court today, there's a food hall. Not only the restaurant, the premium casual food within the shopping malls around the world is growing very significantly. 39% of the shopping mall consumers, they attended one of the experiences, either the cinema or the ski slope or the ice rink. And the technology. Again, today from a shopping mall developer, we work hardly with the latest technology in order to cater for the needs, not only for the retailer, but from a shopping mall developer perspective. The face recognition, the delivery by Amazon within using the drones, push notification on the mobile wherever you move within the shopping malls, and of course the Amazon Go, the latest concept, the voice control digital assistants, all the way to the virtual reality where we saw some of the clips earlier. Entertainment, as we said, in the shopping mall, when we started planning the shopping malls, placing the entertainment boxes, the entertainment areas within the shopping mall is very important. And that has been impacted from going onto Netflix, which is the online entertainment, with a $9.95 per month. They create multi-billion-dollar industry, all the way to the other side, which is the physical entertainment. Disney have never been stronger, with $159 billion as evaluation today. So from the online to the offline and everything in between, how you bring the shopping, the dining, and the entertainment together in one physical space called the malls, where you create experience for everybody, day, night, and even when you are not on the asset, not within the shopping malls. Some of the shopping malls now in the States, they are calling for recording studios. They're transforming the shopping mall into lecturing and classrooms in the public areas after the closing hours, which means the shopping mall will start working 24/7, catering for different crowds after the trading hours for the consumer. Food and drink, as we said, is very important item within any shopping malls. Around 61% of the consumer, they would like to go and try a new food rather than buying a pair of shoes. Means the experience of the food is very important and start really overtaking the experience of the buying for the transactional reason only. The mall programming is a big rising also items. While in the old days, what we mean by the programming is the programming of the public spaces and the circulation. It used to have some of the kiosk. It was not really that much done properly in terms of revenues. But today, the mall programming in the public area, or what we call the mall promotion and media, contribute to almost 25% of the revenue of the mall, if it's done properly. Some of the big shopping mall developers, they announced in 2025, they will be creating by the mall programming, which is mall promotion and media, a revenue equal to the revenue of the mall stores, which means that's very important. It's important also not from a revenue perspective, but also these are the areas where you can refresh your mall. You can't really change your stores and the operator every month or every week. But by changing the programming of the public areas, you can change and refresh the look of the mall. Also, you can respond to changes in the demand. If there's any area where you have a huge demand and you can't really integrate within your mall today, you can integrate within the public areas, because the public areas for the shopping mall developer to really program and to create a value of the consumer. Also, we use the public area to scan and to interact with consumer, because that's where all your appliances, that's where all your sensors and interactive walls go. And of course, the retail store technology impacted. Now 4 or 5 big chains in the States, they start storing in their store what people tweeting and what people they are putting on their Instagram and Facebook. Some of the companies, they created the ecosystem online where start scanning people tweets, people Facebook, and people Pinterest, and then they come up with the latest, let's say, pieces on demand, sending at a very speed time, sending the signal to the supply chain or your warehouses to deliver these pieces. So the minute you start tweeting at any of the pieces in the mall, or people, they send you an image of that, you'll find these pieces in the front row of the display window. Here we are talking about the newcomers of the shopping malls. What we are seeing as a new consumer, which we didn't really used to see. As we said, the local is the new black. Around the world, people, some of the big even retail groups, they start acquiring a local brand at every city, new city they go. So some of the people, they went to India, they acquired few local brands. Some of the latest transactions in Dubai, big retailer, when they acquired one of the local brands and they take it up to an international level. So these people, they'll be associated with the nurturing the local talents. The newcomers also, when we talk about the hospitality, in terms of valet, in terms of delivery, in terms of freehand shopping. Westfield, they announced the freehand shopping schemes a couple of years ago, so you can go shop at any place. You don't really need to hold the bags. The minute you are hitting to your car, you just push notification in your mobile, and then all the stores will deliver the product to your car. Further down, you can push 2 buttons today, and then all this material will be delivered to your home or to any other address by your choice. Bringing also the innovation labs to the mall is something started a couple of years ago. And now today you find a lot of accelerator innovation labs, either related to the retail and the fashion, or to the scientific and the digital world, start taking places within the shopping malls. Of course, including the healthcare concept, the service-oriented concept, and the hospitality. We're starting connecting mall into hospitality and customer service. How you really bring together some different attributes, which a few years ago didn't really even relevant to the retail. This is the new era of a shopping mall development. Technology, innovation, and data analytics is always driving forces. 80% of our data today is invisible. Means it's either stored in the server, it's stored in the CD, it's within your laptop, but you don't really have access to it because the human being doesn't really have the time or the ability to process it. And with everything we are doing today is by analyzing the 20%. So by automating all of this, you'll be able to have access to the 100% of this data. 26+ billion devices will be connected by 2020. That's a huge number. And between 4 and 11 trillion from economic impacts will be associated with the digital and the technology. 54% of the companies, they announced that they will be definitely investing more in sensors this year by 2017, before the end of 2017. What you do with this data? Data will enable the shopping mall developer first to highlight the consumer's profile and behavior. Second thing, to highlight the consumer circulation within a shopping mall environment. So we can, at any given shopping mall, look at any corridor, see the consumer circulation or the footfall. This week it was 100,000, for example. Same week last year it was 200,000, and the year before it was 300,000. So automatically you know that there's a drop in the circulation in one area. The second layer, you go and you start comparing the transactions within all the stores within that area. So again, accessibility on the transactions, on the consumer circulation, and the footfall, that will give you clear picture where is the issue and how to fix it, and what does it really take to fix it. Of course, that's in a simple format. Usually there's 36 multi-layering system, looking at each and every layer, as we said, from a circulation to transaction. We know at Dubai Mall, at every gate, how many people they come in, how many people they turn right, and how many people they turn left. And the people who turn right, how many people they go up, and how many people they go down. We know how many people from any given day went to the food court versus went to the Magic Planet or went to some of the theme park or they attended the cinema. When you have all of this data and start doing the multi-layering data analytics, will give you clear insight where's the issue is, what you have to do in order to fix it, or how to enhance it. And even more, will enable you to predict issues, will enable you to know if you keep doing what you are doing, down the line you'll face an issue, either with the possibility of circulation or the possibility of transaction ability. Why we do all of this data analytics? The first benefit is to reduce the operational cost. Now the latest sensors fixed around a couple of malls in Dubai reduced around 12% of the spending on the air cooling system, because usually the conventional aspect for us as a builder, we set the temperature at any shopping mall at 23 to 25 usually degree. Now the sensors will enable to tell you exactly how many people within shopping mall, how much really the temperature which you should sit at, and what the actual temperature is. And this is connected through dampers and sensors to the electromechanical system. So they switch it on and off. The same thing in the daylight and the electricity. So the sensors will tell you how much of the light you have within the mall, and it will turn on the light gradually within the daytime in order to save the electricity and the power consumption. The data also analytics will enable you to have a deeper customer engagement. Today, the most advanced labs based in Los Angeles are Westfield labs, where they look at the consumer profile by details. They create what they like, what they don't really like. They design for the consumer their visit to the mall. So the minute you step in at any store, they automatically get your profile. They know what you like. They look at your latest 3 or 4 purchases. Hello, Mr. Hussam, you like the dark blue color from these things. Your size is 38. We hope that stay the same. Your size is 38. This is the latest model. You'd like to try it. And then you'll be really blown away how these people could really collect all this data and knew all of these things before even I step in. And now the shopping mall developer, they're taking control of this data by being able to share this data and to transfer the data of the individual tenants and the mall and create one ecosystem. Also, the data will enable you to increase the revenue by improving the decision around the retail mix, because it will enable you to look exactly where are the issues, what are the top performing stores and what are the lowest performing stores, and how you fix it. What are the factors behind the lower performance? One of the stores we spotted at one of the malls in the States, we realized they are dropping in the revenue, monthly revenue, day by day. And when we did really data analytics about their stores around the world, we realized that either from a age zone perspective, they didn't really work. In Dubai, we realized the lower performing stores now is the stores where used to be appealing to the Chinese and the Russian, and there's drop in the Russian and the Chinese buyer. So that's not performing anymore. You need to look for either in new markets by bringing the new markets as a buyer, and the African today start taking over the top purchases in Dubai. I'm using Dubai only as an example, but just to illustrate the idea. But also within this data will enable us to change the retail mix in a very high speed. You don't really need to wait 1 year or 2 years while the tenant is bleeding, the shopping mall is dropping by revenue, you can really see a very quick evidence of the performance. Facilitating the circulation and enhancing connectivity, that's a very important subject when it comes to the footfall and the consumer circulation within the shopping malls. In Dubai Mall, we had 85 million visitors in the year 2014-2015, which is almost double the visitor to New York City. So how to manage all of these people flow, how to manage their interaction with the stores, how to manage the transactions, how to manage the parking, the entrances, the services, the facility management, that was a huge task. By having these sensors and by spotting their circulation and seeing their movement, we could really create a data center where we look at all of these consumption patterns and respond to it as quickly as possible, because that will require a huge facility management and property management team to respond to that. But also enabled us to move the circulation on the area where we didn't really have footfall. So whenever we have the profiling of the consumer and we have one of the dying corners, we start pushing notification, taking these people to that side. Some of the stores even starting the discount game, as we call it, by sending notification that now is 75% discount. And the more you move quicker to the store, the more you capture it, because every minute 10% will be increased. So start with 70% discount, then after 1 or 2 minutes becoming 65%, and then 45%. And after a sudden you find lots of people within the shopping mall running all the way through the corridor, trying to reach to hit the store before the discount percentage get reduced. And also the data analytics will enable you to contribute to more sustainability by reducing, for example, the waste, by having more understanding of the green and the environment perspective, by segregating of course, the waste, and by also enhancing the community where we live. So it's a lot of data and much more you can do. By taking decision will enable you to increase the value of your asset, enhance the performance of the store, differentiate your product. However, we always need to be reminded that all of this data and technology is not the destination. This is only the foundation. The consumer experience is the destination. And the last thing you want is to bore the consumer with all of these numbers and the discount and the data. They want a human face eventually. So we do all of these data analytics in the backbone, in the back areas, in the back of house. However, we make sure always that the customer is the center of this era. And we ensure that the last interaction phase between all of this data and the consumer is a human face. So always the people who really eventually call you to tell you about the latest collections are people. They are not robots. They have all the data. They really went through it. They study it. They come up with the solution. However, when they really wanted to communicate with you, they had a human face. And we should always be reminded. The latest, again, data collection, we said, we'll have all of this big data, as we call it. We'll have it very comprehensive, fully integrated. By 2020, 10 times of the data which we have today. And we tried to create an ecosystem of cognitive business model, similar to what IBM created at Watson, it's called in the medical scenes. We are now working on the Watson real estate and the retail, because we do believe that the mall of the future is data-driven, or as we call it, the mall of the future is going to be a smart mall. We talk about the online and the offline. In my view, the experiential retail will flow from the offline to the online and back. And that's what people, in my opinion, forget. From the offline to the online and back. Creating different world, connecting different areas, and reinventing the connection between these areas. So the online, or they say the brick and mortar, start really introducing lots of concepts based on digital and the technology side. And the other way also, the data and technology and the e-commerce start really implementing lots of experiences coming from the brick and mortar. And this will create the reinvention loop, as we call it, bringing all of this work together, some of which are not really even relevant to the retail a few days ago, in order to create a very successful shopping mall, very memorable experience, influenced by the digital, the data, and based on a very advanced system of cognitive business model. Thank you very much.